Hey there, this is Mr. Alexander, and today I am recording my very first OnRamps statistics calculator strategies video, and I want to start with a really simple one. What I want to talk about today is rounding, using the calculator to help you round, because in OnRamps statistics, when you're taking a problem set or an exam, for instance, or even the homeworks, there's usually very specific rounding rules where if you're not careful, you'll get the wrong answer. I can't tell you how many times last year I had students lose points on problem sets and exams simply because they didn't follow the instructions on how to round. Now, I'm going to preface every video that I record here with the same message. You should always do the way your teacher teaches you how to do all this stuff first, and use the calculator as a secondary resource. Use the calculator to double check your answers. I'm going to say that in every single video. So let's just get into it. Let's talk about rounding on this calculator. There's two different methods here. One that will work for the TI-83 and the TI-84, and a second method that will only work for the TI-84. I want to show you the method first that works on both the TI-83 and the TI-84. Somewhere down the line, second semester, we're going to do something called hypothesis testing. And one of the hypothesis tests we do is called the chi-square test. And I've just entered some data into this calculator, and I'm going to run a chi-square test. You don't know what it means, but when I run it, it's going to spit out some numbers. And we've got a chi-square statistic here and a p-value right here. Again, you don't know what any of that stuff means at this point, but the important thing is that there's some numbers. Now, let's say you get to a homework problem, and or an exam or a problem set or something, and you're pretty sure this is the right answer, but you're supposed to round it to 2 or 3 decimal places. There's a way in the calculator to let the calculator do that for you, and you do that by hitting the mode button right here. Mode. Right now it says float, and it'll say that on the TI-83 as well. Let's say you want it to 2 decimal places. If you just change it to 2 and hit enter, and then go ahead and run that chi-square test again, it's going to round everything to 2 decimal places for you. And then, bam, you don't have to worry about, in a high-pressure situation, losing points because you didn't round something correctly. I know it sounds silly, but it happens all the time. And this is just a great way to double-check it. I will caution you, however, if you use this method, always hit that mode button again and change it back to float, because you don't want to be doing a problem later on and then have it still rounding, and you don't realize it's rounding, and you get the wrong answer because of that. That method will work on the TI-83 and the TI-84. The next method is a method that will only work on the TI-84. It's a function within the calculator that the TI-83 does not have. Let's say you're just working with a basic ratio. For instance, in one of my OnRamps classes this year, I have 24 students, 17 of whom are female. So 17 out of 24 is that as a decimal. And if you wanted to make that a percentage, you would multiply it by 100. But as you can see, it's a repeating decimal. So normally in these situations, when you're on homeworks or if we're doing a problem set or something, they ask you to round it to 2 or 3 decimal places depending on the situation. So if I wanted to round that number, I could use a function in the math, under the math field here. If I hit math and go over to NUM, short for number, and select 2, math num 2, that's the round function. And I could just type in that number, as many 3s as you want, and then do a comma and the number of decimal places you want to round to. So if you want to round it to 3 decimal places, you put comma 3, 5, comma 5, 6, comma 6, and so on. Close the parentheses, and it's going to round that number to 3 decimal places for you. Again, might sound silly, but in a high-pressure situation, you want to make sure you're just double-checking your work if you have the time. This is a great way to do that. So that's it. That's my first calculator strategy. Rounding, that would be helpful on the Unit 0 practice problem set. We'll have some more of these videos to prepare you in Unit 1, so thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.